Children, we're going to continue our story, The Thing, by David Walliams, page 15, Trap. Father woke up as the Monsterpedia bonked him on the head. Mr. Meek grabbed hold of the book, unsure of where to put it. He stuffed it down the back of his trousers. Needless to say, the book didn't like that one bit and tried to squirm out. "Stop," ordered Mr. Meek, giving it a light slap. Anyone who was there might have thought here was a man who was slapping his own bottom. Fortunately for Mr. Meek, he was all alone in the deepest, darkest, jungliest jungle. At once, the man began making a plan. If he was going to catch a thing, he would have to set a trap. So Mr. Meek found a clearing in the deepest, darkest, jungliest jungle, not much bigger than a paddling pool. First, he opened his now rather battered suitcase and took out the tin of custard creams. It was heavy, as it contained 100 biscuits. He set the tin down next to his feet. Then he took out the hamster's cage and put it on the jungle floor. As quietly as he could, he opened the little door of the cage. Creak! The plan was to lay a trail of custard creams, with the last one actually inside the cage. All the man would have to do was wait until the thing followed the trail of biscuits. Then, as soon as it was nibbling the final one inside the cage, Father would slam the door, and bingo, the thing would be trapped. Rustle, rustle, rustle. A sound came from the bushes. "Is anyone there?" called Mr. Meek. There was no reply. Not that a wild animal, or indeed any animal, was likely to call back. "Yes, I'm here. Woohoo, hello." The silence that followed put the man's mind at rest. "Probably just another gust of wind," he muttered to himself. Of course, Mr. Meek had exercised incredible restraint in not gobbling down all the custard creams himself. It had been a month since he'd set off from home with only a small packed lunch. At one point, he'd become so ravenous, you'll remember that means very hungry, that he resorted to eating a pair of his own underpants, dirty ones at that. Needless to say, they didn't taste good, savory rather than sweet. Father knew he couldn't fail his daughter. There would be hell to pay if he didn't return home with the thing. Goodness knows what hideous humiliation she would devise for him this time. Previously, when Mr. Meek had displeased his daughter, she had made Father sit on the naughty step outside in the snow until his bum went completely numb with cold, and sent him to bed before he'd even got up. Buried all his clothes in the garden, so he had to go to work in the library, wearing only his vest and pants. Buried Mother in the flower bed, forced Father to eat cold cabbage for breakfast, lunch and dinner, told him to stand in a corner on one leg, balancing a plant pot on his head for a year, sent him to work scrubbing the house from top to bottom, armed only with his toothbrush, then made him clean his teeth with that toothbrush, made him sleep in the shed and ordered him to drink from a puddle. When Father turned back to open the biscuit tin, he was horrified to find the lid was already off, and it was completely empty. "No!" he cried. This was a disaster. Someone or something had eaten all the custard creams. Chapter 16. Suspicious Droppings. Who was the phantom custard cream thief? There may have been no custard cream biscuits left in the tin, but there was a suspicious trail of steaming droppings leading from it, droppings that looked strangely custardy and creamy. The droppings led all the way from the clearing, through some very jungly parts of the deepest, darkest, jungliest jungle, to the mouth of a cave. Mr. Meek grimaced. Oh no, he was afraid of the dark. Going down into the vaults of the library was bad enough, but this was definitely more terrifying. There was a long list of things that gave him the willies. Washing up gloves, Brussels sprouts, whisks, umbrellas, clowns, vending machines, star lifts, pips, coffee-flavoured chocolates, darts players, balloon animals, bubble wrap, lampshades, walk-in bars, anyone with the name Colin. Keeping in mind his daughter's fury if he didn't return home with a thing, Mr. Meek took a deep breath and stepped inside the dark, damp cave. His footsteps echoed in the blackness. Shont, shont, shont. "Hello," he called out. "Hello," a voice came back. The man was spooked out of his skin. To hide his fear, Mr. Meek put on his bravest, boomiest voice. "Who's there?" he demanded. "Who's there?" was the defiant reply. "I asked first. I asked first." "No, you didn't. I did." "No, you didn't. I did." "You are being ridiculous," he shouted into the darkness. "You are being ridiculous," came the reply. "No, I'm not. No, I'm not." "Yes, you are. Yes, you are." "Show yourself. Show yourself. Go first. You go first. Stop repeating everything I say. Stop repeating everything I say. Hang on, hang on. Am I talking to my own echo?" There was silence for a moment before Mr. Meek's voice bounced back. "Yes." Now he was seriously spooked. Father fumbled in what was left of his pocket for a box of matches. Trembling, he lit one. Strike, fizz. With the flicker of light from the match, he searched out the darkest corner of the cave. Something was moving, something small, something furry, something thingy. Okay, we'll carry on next time.